Hello, everybody. Andy Jacob here with the .com Magazine Entrepreneur Spotlight Series. Settle back in your chairs today. We've been able to bring a worldwide leading expert in his particular space from a worldwide leading company on the show. We're very excited to have Mr. Sam Geha on the show today, and he is the Executive Vice President of Infineon Technology. And let me tell you, we talk about it all the time. We talk about great companies. We talk about great entrepreneurs. And one thing that's really an interesting area of endeavor throughout the world is decarbonization. And we've spoken about it on the show, as you know, from watching the show, and of course, digitalization. And these are very high-powered terms for companies that are able to do a very high-power performance package and offering to really global companies throughout the world. And when we talk about innovating solutions for green and efficient energy, clean and safe mobility, and smart and secure IoT, well, Sam is a real leader in the space. So I'm very delighted and honored to have Sam on the show. Sam, welcome to the .com Magazine Entrepreneur Spotlight Series today.
Yeah, thank you, Andy, for the warm welcome. I appreciate it, and I'm excited to talk to you. So
it's great to have you. I mean, one thing that you've become known for, and of course Infineon has become known for, is really making life easier and safer and greener for your customers and their partners. And we're kind of building a better tomorrow as a leader in IoT. But before we give away all the secrets, let's pull the lens back from 30,000 feet from your perspective and tell us about Infineon, and then we're going to go.
Yeah, all right, Andy. Look, Infineon is one of those companies that's a true believer in trying to make the world a better place. When they say we're driving decarbonization and digitalization together, I would say they really mean it, and to the point where they value it over just pure profits. And we're a global semiconductor leader. We're a $16 billion company, and in power systems and in IoT. We're trying to grow in areas like energy, where we're focusing on green and efficient in mobility. We're focused on clean and safe, and obviously IoT, where we try to be smart and secure. And those are the three growth areas and vectors for the company. And I happen to be part of that last part, which is the IoT, smart and secure.
Yeah, it's such an important part, of course. When we talk about the whole range of IoT solutions, we're talking about connectivity, computing, sensor, security, power, software solutions.
Yeah.
You've really become known for, as a company, of not only helping your customers and helping the world, but safety and security. And that's a real important thing that we talk about all the time. How important is that sort of part of your business, the security part of your business, that helps drive you being the right consumer choice across different verticals that you serve?
Well, let me tell you, Andy, everyone that has a U.S. passport has actually an Infineon chip in the e-passport, in the U.S. passport. So even the U.S. government trusts a German company like Infineon to be there. We're also in many of the credit cards, if you see the chip in your credit card. So security is a very, very big deal for us. It's a strong area for the company that we've been engaged in it for years. And it's certainly a differentiated advantage because as you keep hearing stories about this thing getting hacked, these guys' IDs and information getting hacked, it does matter quite a bit. So from that part, that's a big differentiator. Let me separate it from safety. Safety, pretty much half of Infineon's revenue is in automotive, and automotive, the biggest thing is functional safety. You want to make sure the products we make don't cause call it accidents and death and all these things. So we value there's protocols that are called ASIL, and which stands for Automotive Safety and Integrity Levels. There's an industrial SIL, just the safety and integrity levels. We take those very seriously, and we spend extra time and money to design our chips and our products to make sure they meet those standards, and even in many cases define the standards. So we're very engaged in those areas.
Yeah, of course. I have one of your company's chips sitting in my passport right on my counter in front of me. It's incredible. And of course, you've been doing AI before AI became AI. I mean, you kind of were one of the pioneers in AI before people started talking about it just 2-3 years ago. When we talk about the target audience of your company and we talk about sort of the clientele, I mean, when we talk about multinational companies, companies that are just huge, tens of thousands of employees, it gets a little heady for a lot of smaller to mid-sized entrepreneurs. So let's break it down just simply. Who are some of the target sort of clientele for the company? How do they reach out? Obviously, they know about you, but what's that integration look like when somebody hears about what you're doing and they want to get involved with your company?
Yeah, so it's a great question, Andy, and maybe I need to give you a little bit of background. So if I parse Infineon's customers into the buckets, the energy bucket, the mobility bucket, and the IoT. I mean, for energy, it's more straightforward, right? It's going to be, a lot of the guys that are trying to do solar cells, trying to do even, electric cars, et cetera. And I mean, that's for the mobility guys. So you're focusing on automotive market. We actually divide our market into three segments: automotive, anything related to automotive, industrial and infrastructure, and what we call consumer and computation, and that's more the IoT focused segment. So so for automotive, which one are customers. For industrial, which ones. And for us, consumer is very important. So we're talking about, I happen to live in Silicon Valley. I prefer the customers that are only 10-15 minute drive away from me, and that if you look at the top few, without naming specific names, you can guess who they are. People that you're buying gadgets from, that are making gadgets that are making your homes smarter, that are just trying to add more features, to make the consumer's life easier. So hopefully that answers it without really giving company names.
It really does. We definitely know who you're talking about, and it's not only them here in the U.S. and Silicon Valley, but throughout the world. When we talk about your solutions, one thing that is very fascinating about your company is you believe in complete solutions. In other words, you just don't sell an individual component. Most of the time, you put together a system, what I call a system perspective. So let's talk about that and why that really is one of the things that separates you from the pack.
Well, I've been in this industry now 33 years, 34 years. And, when we started, it was like, hey, we make good chips and then we'll give them to the customers and they'll come and take them and figure out how to use them. As, call it, the world evolves and gets smarter, that's not good enough. And I can even give you an example. Today, if I look at my team, I have 1,500 people, 500 of which are software people. So we have to offer the customer a solution, not just a chip, but how the chip is going to fit into their systems. We have application engineers. We have to make sure our chip fits into their ecosystem. We have to offer them reference designs. We have to give them software where they take the code and try to implement it and use it. And that's kind of the differentiator. And by the way, how much we help them varies. You have the guy that's, call it we use the simple examples, the coffee maker versus you have the guy that has thousands of people that are experts at making their own products. And, so their demand from us also varies, of how much help they need, so that is the new angle of, what we call a go-to-market angle. And it's just not good enough to just make a good product. It's a lot more important to come up with a proposed solution and a reference design and, even guide the customer on how they need to use it. So,
yeah, it makes sense. When we talk about going to market, one thing that's very interesting to me is the way you distribute, the distribution and partner ecosystem, I'll call it. And you have a lot of major partners throughout the semiconductor ecosystem. And the way in which you work with them to ensure that your customers really get the right solutions and the parts they need to make sort of the world go around. How important is that, partner ecosystem that you've been able to build throughout the years?
Yeah. Yeah, so we divide our customers into different buckets. We have like the top tier and we call them the direct. Direct is we support them through our sales and marketing organization. We have people dedicated, even teams dedicated to supporting one large customer. And even Infineon itself is complicated with 4 different divisions. And so we even need that team to manage internally just as much as, if you're a customer A and you're like, hey, I need to get a hold of Infineon and there's 4 divisions, you got to figure out who to call, right? And who's the person that you need to deal with. And we have the mid-level and smaller level where in many cases we support them through distribution. So we have lots of distribution partners, and really we also have to build, and we do have a team that works and supports the distribution. And that one is a little bit harder in some cases because, now you have probably the middleman and yet another middleman between you and the customer. And so what I do once a year for sure, and my team does every quarter, is we go spend time with the distributors and say, how can we help you? What do you need? What do you need from us? Do we give, field application engineers along with your salespeople to help with the customers? What's needed to help grow the business? So it's complicated, but it's that's what it takes to really be able to serve thousands of customers instead of just 10 or 15 or 100, right? So that's kind of the complexity of this business. So.
Yeah, it's really interesting. But you make the complexity simple. I mean, you've been there for over 30 years. You love what you do. When I speak to someone like you, I start thinking to myself, what's it like to be you driving to work in the morning? You have so many people that report to you. I mean, really, the way the world communicates, the way the world changes, a lot of it kind of falls right onto your desk. So what's that sort of feel like when you walk in and you get into work in the morning? What's your go-to driver? What's the thing that gets you going?
Andy, this is actually one of my favorite subjects to discuss. So maybe just a quick background. I've been in this industry and kind of with Infineon about now 29 years. I was with Cypress. They acquired us 4 years ago, and I love my job. I'm super motivated to come to work. I am the guy that's in the office before 6 a.m. every day. So that tells you don't come to the office at 6 a.m. without being super motivated and excited. And first thing I do, I look at my emails and start always with any customer-related topics and make sure my customers, I've guaranteed every one of my customer 24-hour response time. In reality, it's less than 12 hours response time. And I'm demanding from my team to do the same. Immediately come in, look at customer emails that you need to respond to. Even if the response is, okay, I got your note, I'm going to study it and get back to you. That is important for the customer to know they're being cared for and they're being supported. What drives me is how do we support them? So I spend my day between making sure the customers are taken care of and how can we serve them better? Number 2, how do we continue to grow our roadmap? I spend a lot of time on our roadmap and on product execution and making sure our products are in shape. And obviously the rest of the time, making sure my team is cared for. I mean, my job is to support my team. I have a bunch of leaders who are very strong, experienced, and capable, but also, just like any company, they need support, they need help, they need somebody to give them the okay to go do something or to hire resources or, so I'm there for my team. That's what I do. And try to create it in a very happy culture. I mean, I can tell you my admin and my chief of staff are just as important as my product line managers and VPs, because they're helping make the place run and make it be a motivating culture, right? So that's kind of what life is like here. And that's why you could see me super motivated, 12-hour days, super excited to be here, 34 years in.
Yeah, and the workforce, I mean, just the R&D engineers, you have over 1,500 moving to 2,000 R&D engineers. They all work together. someone's watching this show. They're saying to themselves, how do we get 1,500 moving to 2,000 experienced R&D engineers working together? That has to be, you must have a secret sauce for that. What high level can you say is the way that you get all of them working together to realize the goals of the company? How do you keep that sort of moving forward? That's a question a lot of people are going to be thinking about right now.
Well, look, to me, it's not a secret sauce. There's two things you do. Well, first is you align on the objectives. These are the goals. This is what we're trying to achieve. This is the timeline we need to achieve it. These are the products we're trying to make. Number two is you track it and you hold your team accountable, as well as you hold yourself accountable, starting with myself. I don't ask my team to do anything I'm not willing to do myself. Roll up my sleeve. What I do is I set up regular weekly meetings where I get checkpoints where the team comes and reports on the progress of pretty much every project that we're running. And we give them enough time and they come in and bring up, here's the challenge, here's the problem we're facing, or here's the success, or, oh my God, we tried this and we still are going after the root cause, we don't understand it. And so it's their chance and their opportunity to both ask for help, report structure update, and give us a feel for what's going on. And my job is to support them, number one, encourage them, hold them accountable, and really develop, I call it executable roadmap. Most people call it roadmap. I say, no, it's executable. What are we really committing to, and how do we move things forward? And that's what we spend a lot of time focusing on.
Yeah, and I thought it was fascinating hearing your answer. I thought it was fascinating when I was thinking about prior to the interview that someone like you, somebody with these leads, for example, you have a microcontroller lead and a Wi-Fi lead, a Bluetooth lead, you have a lead of applications. You have to have a chief of staff to operate and keep everything moving in the right direction. I don't know if you want to briefly talk about the leads, but we have time for that. I know I've only cut out a certain amount of time out of your day, and thank you so much. But I think it's really interesting when you talk about Steve or Sivaram, what they're doing and how they're integrating with, Joseph.
Yes. Oh, thank you for knowing actually my team. So let me tell you, my chief of staff is what I call the secret sauce. He's the secret recipe. He's the guy that's really making us succeed and win and look good and be presentable. And I would say he's the guy that's keeping me on my focused and making sure I'm getting my job done on schedule. He also works with my leaders like Steve, Shivaram, Shantanu, who are product line VPs and SVPs in some cases that have their own team, and he supports them and try to balance it. Like right now we're in the middle of working on our strategy for the next 5 years, right? So and for me, this is one of the most important activity that we do, because it's like, hey, who do you want to be in the next 5 years, and how are you going to get there, and what are your challenges, what are your opportunities, I call them. I don't like to use the word challenge as much, and how do we, what does it take? And he helps keep us all talking to each other, coordinated, balancing each other. So I could say before, a few years ago, I didn't have a chief of staff. I used to actually do the presentations myself, and it was a nightmare. I would spend all weekend trying to make PowerPoints, and then I thought I was good at it. And then my chief of staff was like, 5 minutes after I saw him make the first presentation for me, I'm like, oh my God, I'm a novice. He's a professional. And he's been the guy that actually puts a lot of our, quality presentations together. So making really my life easier and allow me to actually focus on thinking and be able to, plan out the future for this team. So.
Yeah, Sam, it's so important because it gives you an opportunity to think what I'll call 3 to 5 steps ahead. Some people might look at your company and say it's 10 steps ahead, because there is competition and you need to stay ahead of the competition. So you believe in thinking big, which I love, but also thinking realistically. And then once you put yourself on the path to your long-term commitment, you stick with it as your goal and you make small micro changes along the way, I would imagine. How important is putting those 5-year goals together for the strength of what the company does?
Yeah, well, I think it's extremely important. You want to know who you are going to be, who can you be, and then what we do along with Steve Tatyoshian, Shivaram, and Shantanu Balarao, is we look at, okay, is everything we're working on really has a good ROI? And if not, should we be cutting a project and doubling down on another project because it's going to have higher ROI? We spend time, they spend a lot of time with the end customers. They bring me in as needed, many cases to just give that customer more confirmation and a comfort level that, yes, you can really count on Infineon. I mean, that's what I do mostly, right? Double assurance, like, hey, even as recent as a month ago, I was in Japan meeting with one of the customers, and they didn't speak English, and we had to have this translator. And then we sat in this meeting where the Japanese guys kept translating my presentation. I repeated in English, and then the only thing at the end, the guy, he actually spoke a few words of English. This is the chairman of the company. He looked at me, he's like, "So if I have a problem, I can call you?" And I'm like, "Yes, absolutely, you can call me." And that was what it took to eventually close the deal. He had to see me face to face and make it happen. And so what I do is I support my staff to help them grow their business and really just give that extra confirmation.
What a great story.
That's at least for the outside world. So
yeah, it's wonderful. What a great story. You hear that from startup entrepreneurs, and you hear that from people working and running small to mid-sized companies. But when we talk about a company of your size and your breadth, that know that they can get to the person they need to get to on a cell phone or a text or through a chat, it's remarkable. And that leads me to entrepreneurship, because a lot of younger people are watching the show. I want also to give them some insight in what it takes to be a great entrepreneur, maybe share some valuable insight with regard to how important it is to be able to get through business challenges and stay resilient along the way.
Yeah, I would say really the number one thing is always be passionate about what you do. Otherwise, you're not going to succeed. And be really passionate. I mean, I love my job. When I say that, I really do. It's what makes me get up at 4:45 in the morning, and I'm at work before 6. And you have to have that excitement, and that allows you to, and you also have to believe in yourself, believe you can break any barrier. And there will be barriers every day. I mean, every day I'm dealing with problems and coming up with solutions. I don't spend a lot of time complaining about anything. It's like, okay, here's the problem. I don't want to hear about it beyond this. Okay, it's a problem. How do we solve it? I'd rather spend 2 minutes talking about the problem and 58 minutes in the hour talking about how do we solve it, and what are the options and how do we move forward. And regardless of the subject, and not all subjects are super complicated technical. Some subjects are, I'm not getting this customer to reply to me, or they don't think our product is good, and then we have to go in like, well, how do we prove it to them that we have a superior product, and what do we do, etc. Like, it could be any subject. It could be, okay, I have a technical problem. I can't seem to be able to get my circuit to meet the customer needs, and then we get into that one. So part of my background, I used to be the VP of Research and Development of R&D, and so I am technical in many ways, and I used to think that's all I want to do in life, and then I'm like, something called customers. Well, it's kind of fun talking to them. It's kind of fun actually getting them to closing deals with them. It's so sometimes you don't know your capabilities and skill sets, and over the years, and that's what's exciting about my job, is it's varied from me being a simple engineer many years ago to becoming a better engineer, to becoming a manager, to becoming a director, to becoming a VP in engineering. And it's like, I kind of like the business side of things, to learning how to write business plans, to running a business, to now running a bigger business and a very, a growing business. So life, throughout the years, if you're a young, ambitious entrepreneur, life carries you in different ways, and just let it be ambitious, go above and beyond every time you have an opportunity, and show your bosses that you can make it happen. and the sky is the limit. So,
and in your case, give your cell phone number to the Japanese CEO that you just met with to close the deal. I love it.
it's actually on my business card, which is beautiful. I'm like, hey, call me direct right there. My cell
There it
phone is
is.
on my business card. So
There it
yeah,
is. That's beautiful. We have so many stories. I know I'm going to have to bring you back on the show because I want to talk about so many interesting things that you're involved with your part of the company. The one thing that is just so fascinating, you brought it up earlier, are the e-passports. Now, when you think about it, I mean, Infineon is making everybody's life safer because every single e-passport has an Infineon chip inside, and it's so small you can't even see it. And one thing that I want you to talk about that I just thought was so fun is it passes the washing machine test. Let's talk about that before I let you go. And again, thank you so much for cutting some time out for me today.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, we're happy to discuss technology with you, and how we make a 2 mm square die fit inside the passport and survive the washer. And but yeah, I mean, those are some of the technical challenges that we deal with every day. And there's many more. I mean, yeah, I'm glad you found those topics exciting.
Well, I love it. I love the ICW,
Yeah.
decarbonization, part of your business. I mean, there's so many things to talk about and so many new things that you're doing. It's just fascinating to have somebody like you on the show. I want to bring you back because we want to talk about everything that you're involved with and maybe even give us maybe some secrets, if you can, about what's on tap for the future. I don't know if you can do that, but I know you're always working 3 to 5 steps ahead, Sam, and it's just great to have you on the show. This has been a great interview. You have a great team. We spoke about the team. The company is amazing. And of course, you're committed to actively really driving decarbonization and digitalization on the global stage. So, Sam, I want to thank you so much for coming on the .com Magazine Entrepreneur Spotlight Series today.
Thank you, Andy, and great talking to you.